News alert, President George H.W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States, is lying in state tonight at the U.S. Capitol building. The president has just arrived to pay his respects to his predecessor. Fox Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry is at the Capitol for us tonight. Ed?
Tucker, good to see you. That's right. The motorcade arrived with President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, just in the last 2 or 3 minutes. They went inside on the Senate side of the Capitol. We expect now that they will be meeting with some members of the Bush family, friends, others who are here. And then he will get a chance, the president, along with the First Lady, to go visit the casket. You see it right there. It's in the rotunda of the Capitol. This is the third U.S. president since 2004, former president, who has been lying in state in the Capitol Rotunda. Ronald Reagan in 2004, Gerald Ford late 2006, early 2007. To give you an idea of the history of this, there is a wooden platform that the casket sits on, and that is the same wooden platform that was used at President Abraham Lincoln's funeral in 1865. So they keep that in storage here. They know the sense of history, how rare this is to have a former president lying in state. It comes after some remarkable moments in that rotunda. You saw Democrats like Nancy Pelosi embracing George W. Bush, of course, one of the president's sons, who also served as president. President Bush will be lying in state here until Wednesday at 7 a.m. Then that is, of course, a national day of mourning as declared by President Trump. And shortly after the public viewing, the chance for the public to go by that casket, they will go to Washington National Cathedral, of course, for the memorial service that President Trump will also attend, Tucker.
Ed Henry, thanks. We're going to get back to you in just a minute. We want to bring in now Dana Perino, who, of course, hosts the Daily Briefing here on Fox and naturally The Five. She knew the former president well and worked for his son, the 43rd president. She joins us tonight. Dana, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You knew the Bush family well. We've spent the last several days talking about George H.W. Bush and his legacy. One sort of facet of his life that I don't think has gotten enough attention, but maybe as a window into the man he was his great and lifelong love of dogs, of spaniels, too, I should say. You saw that. Your favorite, spaniels, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, and just watching as the president and Melania Trump, the first lady, arrived there at the Capitol to have this moment. One thing that's just interesting about that is my husband, Peter, who you know, he's British, but became an American citizen in 2006, and he's been watching today, and he said, America sure does this kind of thing very well, and I think that's true.
Yes.
So yeah, President George H.W. Bush loved pets from when he was a young boy. They had pets all during their marriage of 73 years. One of the ones that a lot of people will remember is Millie. Of course, there she is. And Millie actually had puppies there at the White House, and one of those puppies was named Spot. Spot was given to George W. Bush and Laura Bush as a present. So for a little bit of history for everyone, Spot is the only dog to ever live in the White House twice. And you should be able to, that's Spot there. I think that's Spot. And I think that part of the reason that they had pets is that, as Barbara Bush said, pets make a house a home. And one of the things when you're trying to help a president just feel like they have some normalcy after the end of a workday, even though they only have a 30-second commute, that pets really help them do that.
Dogs are helpless without people, which is one of the great appeals about dogs, but also the reason that dogs tell us so much about the people who have them, I would say. There was a picture today of the former president's dog sitting near the casket, and I thought, what a moving, maybe the most moving picture. Exactly right.
Sully is a service dog. He came to George H.W. Bush in about July when he was in Kennebunkport, Maine. He could do things like turn on or off a light. He could go alert somebody if 41 needed help. He could open or close a door. But one of the things I remember when I saw 41 in June is his eyes really lit up when we talked about Sully, because he was going to come and become a part of the family. He's a really lively dog. Of course, there you see him standing watch over the person that he was meant to help, George H.W. Bush.
Yes.
And this is a picture that kind of broke everyone's hearts. And it's not because we don't understand that the family is going through things. It's just one of those things that, you know, like Americans are caring creatures. We care about those that we have dominion over, such as animals like Sully. But the good news is here, Tucker, Sully is going to continue his service. He will be going to Walter Reed Medical Center, where he will continue to help those who need a service dog, and he might even help train some other dogs.
Politicians all used to have dogs. It was almost required. Now it's much more unusual, and I've always thought that when you have a dog, it's not all about you. You know, it's about the dog.
Well, the other thing
George
is
H.W. Bush was one of those guys you really felt like he was interested in the dog, and that not everything was about him. It came through in his letters, too.
Well, the great thing is, too, and you know, you have a busy and hectic job and a stressful schedule, that the dog doesn't care that you had, you got to speak to the Prime Minister of Canada earlier in the day and had lunch, and then later on you made a big decision about war and peace. Like, the dog just wants to hang out and throw the ball, and here we see the President and Melania Trump heading into the Capitol Rotunda.
We're going to listen for a second. I want to go back to Dana Perina now. We're watching the President and the First Lady leave the room. He is there not simply because he's president, but because it was the wishes, some of the final wishes of the 41st president, that he be there, which struck a lot of people as unusual, considering there has been this well-publicized tension between the families. Tell us about that.
Well, I don't think it's that unusual if you knew 41, right? This is the most gracious, decent person. But also because, again, as my husband had said, America does this kind of thing very well, peaceful transfers of power from one president to the next. If you think about the letter that 41 wrote to Bill Clinton that left in his desk in the Oval Office, and Bill Clinton shared that with everyone this weekend, basically he's saying, you're our president. I'm rooting for you, and I'll be here if you need me, but I'm going to step out and let you do your job, because it wasn't for him about the person. It is also about the office of the presidency and how important that is to our country, the global world order, and all the things that we have been able to achieve in our country since our founding fathers gave us this great gift. And this is a real passing from one generation to the next. Really, the greatest generation, they are nearly all gone. And so I think President Trump and Melania Trump going there tonight, they are not only just respecting 41, but they are also respecting and upholding the office of the presidency. And I think we should all keep that in mind over the next few days.
No, I agree with that. And to write a letter like that after the campaign of '92, which never really got the credit it deserved for being really ugly from the Clinton side, I thought, and personal and nasty. I did cover it, and it was savage. And the Bushes, I think, as a family, were really hurt by it. To write a letter like that right after that kind of campaign really says a lot.
43 says he once asked his father, where did you find the strength to be gracious and to be so kind to somebody who had just beaten you like that? And 41 said something very important. He said, I had no choice. Part of that is how he decided to live his life. And one of the things I emailed to you this morning, Tucker, is this idea of personal responsibility, of how you choose to live your life, how you choose to parent. And that unconditional love was so important to his family. But I have to say, with George H.W. Bush, he had unconditional love for this country as well. And I think that now is reflected. Of course, he lost, but it was not easy to win a third term. It's only happened twice since World War II. It's very hard to have won a fourth one for any party. But he leaves and he has a wonderful post-presidency, and thankfully history gave him enough time to see that his legacy was assured, especially on the foreign policy front.
I think that's right, and it's reflected in the coverage, which with some exceptions has been, I would say, fond.
Oh yeah, I have a couple I could mention, but I'll try to be gracious.
No, but in general, no, I agree. They're always wackos, but in general, I think people have been kind to a kind man.
Well, you even
Dana
have
Perina,
Evan
thank
Thomas.
you very much.
Okay, you're right. All right.
No,
good night.
you're right. Evan Thomas, actually a good guy. Thank you very much. We're going to be right back. We're going to take you out on the pictures of the 41st president lying in state in the Capitol Rotunda.